We are from Iowa, Iowa. That's where the tall corn grows. Everybody sing!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rock Hard Caucus. This is the show for Iowans by Iowans. How do you like that for a slogan? Is that a good one?
It doesn't have much flavor, really. I mean,
okay, we're what,
better.
like 35 episodes? We're like 35
Not edgy
episodes
enough.
in and still hunting for the right combination of words to use as an introduction.
well, the name of the show, needs something edgier.
Okay. Welcome to Rock Hard Caucus. It's about fucking politics.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking politics.
There's nothing edgier than the F word.
That's right. It's one of the worst words that you can say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here. It's me, Justin. You heard Evan just now, and you heard somebody laughing who you may remember from last month. We got Duroje Gwamna back in the mix.
Woo! Hey, how's it going, guys?
Welcome back, Duroje.
Thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me here, man. I feel privileged. This is awesome.
Yeah, dude. The one-on-one episode we did last month was a big hit, so I think
Really?
I'd be foolish
cool.
to not invite you back.
Oh, damn. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, it was really cool to be able to let some grievances out living in this country, this state. No, I'm kidding. I'm wagging my finger at you there. No, man. Thanks for having me back. I'm going to grab
definitely.
a drink, but you'll hear me in the background for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's no professional. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So today's episode, we're doing kind of a direct sequel to the last regular episode that Evan and I did with Stella. Stella is, of course, busy in the real world doing some actual work, helping people, so she can't come on to do a frivolous podcast like us.
Yeah, I was thinking this is a podcast about grievances. I mean, grievances with the government.
Right?
Yeah, just tailing off on the, slogan. But yeah, Stella is doing real world things unlike, this whatever we're doing right now.
Yeah, this little boys club. So last time we were talking mostly about cars and instances of cars driving into human bodies and the consequences of such things, which is, a pretty serious topic. And since this is a nominally kind of like a comedy-based podcast, I figured we would just jump right back into that again. Just the laugh riot of people being hit by cars. I'm being ironic, okay?
Right.
So right off the top, I do want to acknowledge, so if you do a quick Google about cars hitting protesters in the past couple months, there have been reportedly 66 incidents of people driving their cars into protesters since May 27th of this year.
Damn.
I know of 2 fatalities as a result of those incidents. On July 4th in Seattle, Washington, Summer Taylor was killed by a driver, and fellow protester Diaz Love is, last I checked, in critical condition. And last month, June 3rd, in Bakersfield, California, a man named Robert Forbes was also struck and killed by a driver. So this is not something to joke about, but we'll do our best.
Yeah.
So I want to take it a little bit closer to home to start things off today. I've got an article here written by Zachary Oren Smith for the Iowa City Press-Citizen, and he wrote something. The headline is, "No one hurt, no complaint filed following Saturday march in Coralville." Listeners who stalk me in real life know that I live in Coralville, so this
You have a lot of those?
Yeah. Everyone who listens to the show also, knows my address.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So this was a march in my town where I live, just a couple miles from my house. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I was there. So let me just read what this reporter has to say about what happened on that day. This was June 27th. Coralville City Council is in the information gathering phase of a potential police reform package in reaction to the local and national George Floyd protests. following Saturday's march down U.S. Highway 6. Organizer, just to be safe, I'm going to leave people's names out of this for now because of things I'm going to present to the listeners later. But
good idea.
The organizer of this protest said that they hoped the marches in Coralville would grow. That day's protest involved just over 30 people, a crowd only big enough to block 2 lanes of traffic. As cars swerved around the crowd and between them, there were a number of close calls, including one car that struck a protester who told the Press Citizen they were not injured. On Monday, Police Chief Shane Cron told the Press Citizen no report was filed from the incident with the Coralville Police Department, not by the protester and not by the driver. Cron said his department responds to incidents by complaint, and without anyone calling them in, his staff had nothing to respond to. On June 23rd, Coralville approved a $25 sound permit for use. I'll bleep that, I guess. Use of the pavilion at St. Morrison Park. While plenty of cars pulled U-turns to avoid the marchers, there was little issue as the group of protesters came up 5th Street. 5th Street is like a smaller road just north of Highway 6. That's the street that like the city library, the police station, and the park where the march started. That's that street. And then Highway 6, just south of that, is what's commonly referred to as the Coralville Strip. So there was little issue as the protesters were on 5th Street, which in 2018 had an annual average daily traffic count of 6,800 vehicles per day. But on Highway 6, with its average of 32,200 vehicles a day, the risk was amplified. The Press Citizen asked Cron how his department approaches this potential risk for injury. While others may focus on the marches as disruptive, he said his primary concern is public safety. He said it is as dangerous for the people walking into the streets as it is for the drivers.
I would say more dangerous.
Right?
Yeah, I think if you're in a vehicle, it's a bit less dangerous.
I mean, that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
They
right.
have those big ass like trucks with super high rides for a reason.
Yeah.
Makes you feel invincible.
We wish people wouldn't put themselves in jeopardy, Cron said. It's creating a safety concern for them and other motorists who may not see them coming. There is a point where you are risking other people's lives. Okay, that's the end of Zachary Oren Smith's article about the incident.
Very interesting.
Yeah, right?
So this, I don't think a time of day was mentioned in this reporting, but this was, like around 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So the quote there from the police chief, it's creating a safety concern for motorists who may not see them coming. There wasn't any visibility issues that day. Traffic could definitely see that there were people in the road. And, I mean, yes, there is safety risks involved in that when you have people standing on a road where people are driving. But you can just not drive into them, I guess is the short way of saying that.
Yeah.
So, as I alluded to, I was present for this. And I was one of the people who was struck by the vehicle. Yeah, the very, very brief statement on this in the article is one car that struck a protester who told the Press Citizen they were not injured. So there's video of this incident. Somebody recorded this car hitting one person and then hitting me and another person. So 3 people in total. No one was injured. They were not like accelerating. They just kind of rolled into us very slowly. I was talking to other people involved with the protest. I was encouraged to share the video, so if you look at my social media accounts, you can see the incident happen for yourself. But I can recap it just from my perspective. So we had a fairly small group out on the road that day. As the article said, it was like around 30 people. So I was not feeling super confident about what was going to happen out there, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I understand the tactic, but it seems like it would be a lot more effective if when there's a lot of people. Like the video, it's like it seemed like it was sparse enough where the guy could basically do what he did and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can say from experience, like when I've been witness to larger gatherings of people doing this, people in their cars are not nearly as willing to just like speed by you, run into you, honk at you. They just kind of chill out a little bit more when there's like a giant group of people in front of them. So I was not feeling great about what was going on, but I mean, if protesters are going to be in the road, I'm going to like be a part of that, you know? Like I feel like I have a responsibility. If I'm present, I'm going to like do what I can to like help people. So I was hanging out in the back of the crowd for most of this, just kind of like trying to put some distance between people and cars. And while we were coming up Highway 6, kind of by the Dairy Queen in Coralville, and this was around 1:45 p.m. I checked my phone to make sure I remembered all of these details. I heard a car just laying on the horn, just like holding the horn down. So I turned around and I saw a blue, I don't know, car. How do you describe cars?
They all look the same now, so the color is good and like the style, you know, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the horn going. I turned around to see what was going on, and I see this car just accelerating towards us with a protester sitting on the hood of the car, which is startling, I guess, to turn around and see that happening. They were kind of, you know, turning the wheel back and forth a little bit, trying to get the guy to get off the hood. And then they stopped quickly. The protesters kind of jumped off. Again, no one was hurt, fortunately, but I'm in the mindset of like, well, if they're willing to do that, like, is this about to escalate? So I stood like in the way of the car between them and the rest of the people, just, you know, again, putting distance between human beings and cars.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, you know, straight up rolled right into my legs.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Wow.
I was not hurt, which, you know, I'm grateful for, but I was, you know, I was more surprised than anything. Like, why are you so willing to do this?
Yeah. So you didn't see the very beginning part where they hit the first guy originally, and then he started kind of like humping their headlight.
Right.
And then jumped on the hood. I mean, he didn't jump, like, they were still hitting him.
Yeah.
He kind of he just kind of like, was like, all right, if you're going to do that, then I'm just going to like take a ride.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I was not witness until they were already accelerating with that person on the hood.
Yeah.
But you can see in the video, like, they're driving in between lanes of traffic towards
and there were other
guy.
people there too, like who witnessed it and like probably didn't know what was going on other than there was a car like acting aggressively.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I do want to say, like, they drove into this guy. Like, they made the first move, you know? And it's on video. So I, you know, just kept standing there, sort of walking backwards as they continued to roll into me. Eventually, and kind of like older guy who was with the group pulled me away. He was trying to, you know, de-escalate the situation, which is good. And they just drove away. Person in the passenger seat leaned out the window and flipped me off. And I just shouted their license plate number at them as they were driving away, which for anyone listening is IPW244.
IPW244.
Iowa plates, Johnson County. I don't have the means to look that up, but if anybody knows like how to look up plate numbers, I'd be happy to know like who that person was, just for my own knowledge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right. One question: why were you not wearing your mask, sir?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, right at the start, when I was first hit, I had my mask pulled down so that I could get a drink of water. I was drinking a bottle of water as the car initially rolled into me.
Ah, I see.
I did have my mask over my mouth and nose before and after the video.
I see. I'm asking for my mom.
Okay.
She was concerned. She was concerned about it.
Yeah, I appreciate the concern. So I, you know, in the immediate aftermath, I was like, a car drove into me. I wasn't super bothered by it. I mean, nobody was actually hurt, so it could have gone a lot worse. I'm glad it didn't.
It's just like you said, the idea of someone that had so much malice in their hearts or just, such like a disregard for human life that would just decide to up and do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so fucked, man. I just don't get it.
Yeah, when the alternative is just, chill and wait like a couple minutes.
Yeah, there were a bunch of other cars there, like not doing that.
The thing that surprises me too is like that it's happening in humble, supposedly liberal freaking Johnson County. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, you think that shit would go down like, in Texas or where there's a bunch of wasps and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just still baffled, man. Like, I don't know. You know?
I mean, it seems like things have been a lot more heated in Des Moines when altercations like this occur. But yeah, I mean, people who are just excitedly commenting on like Facebook articles, like hit them, shoot them, like they're everywhere. They're here too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They're the people who don't work for the university.
Right. Well said, dude. Well said.
Yeah, so in the immediate aftermath, I was, a little shaken, but I was like, whatever. Like, this is kind of what I signed up for, I guess. Like, not exactly, but like, I can't, like, if I'm going to stand on the road, I can't, like, expect something like this to never happen. But once the video came out and I was getting replies that were, like, blaming me and the protesters for being in the road, I was like, damn, like, me, and you still have just complete disregard for, like, why I would do something like that. Right.
It was there was an organizer there. Like, it was a planned march, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, personally, I arrived at the event thinking it was just going to be like a speaking engagement, but then we started the march after that. So I didn't know ahead of time there was going to be a march, but yes, it was. Like, I think most of the people there knew it was going to happen. Like, there were medics present and everything. So, like, yeah, there was plenty of organization involved. I wasn't just like jumping into traffic for fun,
Yeah. Right. People just refuse to understand.
Yeah. So that bothered me more. And then, like, the part of this article where they asked the police department for comment, and they're just like, well, no one reported it, so we can't, act on this. That really kind of, like, stuck with me. And I'm thinking, well, like, should somebody report this? If they're going to talk to the press and say, like, we agree that something bad happened, but we can't act on it because nobody reported it, I guess they're sort of asking for a report, right?
Yes.
So again, I consulted with other people who were involved with the protests, and I was like, the car hit me. I'm a white guy, so like the cops probably aren't going to fuck with me too much. Like, do you want me to contact them about this? And I was encouraged to do so. So I did call the Coralville Police Department non-emergency number just to, like, say, hey, if no one's reporting this, I will tell you what happened from my perspective. And I recorded the phone calls. Would you guys like to hear my discussions with the police?
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Here's the first one. I have two of these.
Coralville Police, may I help you?
Hey, I'm calling to report an incident from Saturday.
Okay, let me connect you with the dispatcher so we can get you in contact with one of our officers.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. 1 minute. Johnson County Dispatch, how may I help you?
Hey, I'm calling to report an incident that happened on Saturday.
Okay, where did the incident happen, at what address?
This was on 2nd Street in Coralville, right by the Dairy Queen.
And your name, sir?
My name is Justin Comer.
And your phone number, Justin?
319.
And what happened?
There was a protest march going on, and I witnessed a blue Toyota. License plate number was IPW244. I saw them driving in between two lanes of traffic. This was in the heading northwest, those lanes. They drove in between two lanes of traffic and just rolled very slowly into a protester. and continued. They didn't break. They continued rolling into him, and he sat on the hood of the car to avoid, being rolled over, I guess. They accelerated while this protester was on the hood, and they swerved a little bit to their right, and then they stopped quickly, and he jumped off the hood. I was with the protesters just up ahead of where this happened. They were also laying on their horn just continuously, so I turned around and saw this happen. And then they continued driving towards the group of protesters. I stood in the way because I was near the back of the group, and we had, kids in the group behind me. So I stood in front of the car, and they also rolled into me and continued pushing forward after hitting me in the legs.
So you're saying they hit you as well? How come no one called us when this happened?
I'm not sure.
Jesus.
All right. Where are you at now?
I'm at my house right now.
All right. I'm going to have an officer call you back, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I go over the whole thing, reporting the incident, and the first response from this Johnson County dispatcher is, "Why didn't you call us sooner?"
I know. I'm like, what? Without.
Yeah, what's the
Wow.
statute of limitations of someone getting hit with a car?
Right. Clearly expired to that person. As soon as she picked up. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much of an answer in the moment. I just said, "Oh, I don't know," because
I wouldn't either.
It's a funny immediate response. But I guess the answer that I would give now is because we're protesting police.
Yeah, for real.
That's like right.
Actually, that reminds me, another part of the police chief's statement to the press was that their primary concern is public safety. But there were a couple of bigger marches in Coralville, like when this stuff was first starting out in early June. And there were a couple times where there were Coralville police cars, like, blocking traffic on some of the larger roads to make sure that incidents like this did not occur. But on this day, the only cop I saw the whole time we were marching, he just kind of drove up to a stoplight and then drove away. So if they're concerned with public safety, they weren't really showing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's, a thing that these protests, back to Charlottesville, it's been a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same people who feel empowered driving their car like a weapon,
Yeah, it happens pretty regularly.
I remember in Charlottesville, there was a fatality for that too. That's my mind instantly went towards that moment.
Yeah.
It was like a Heather something rather, and she died.
Heather Hayer.
Yes. Dude just plowed through that group of people with reckless abandon. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know.
And that's on the extreme end of things, Stu, but your account of it was very articulate and you didn't embellish it at all. I mean, it's clear that they were the aggressor in the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. As she mentioned at the end of that call, she is going to have somebody call me back. So I made that first call at 1:44 p.m. This was the Monday or Tuesday after the march, so 1:44 is when I called, and then I was waiting for a call back, and I got this call at 2:06, so just about 20 minutes later. Actually, before I start that, just let me say, the app I was using to record phone calls cuts off the first, maybe 15 to 20 seconds of this, but you didn't miss too much. Okay, here we go.
Did they pass that information to you?
Yeah, so were you involved in the incident, or what was your part of this?
Yeah, I was. I witnessed one person being struck by a car, and then the same car struck me right after that.
Okay. We have video of this incident. Were you aware of that?
It may be the video that I sent to the Coralville Police Department.
Okay, was that where the kid jumped on the guy's hood and were you the male stood in front of the car with your blue hat?
That's me, yeah.
Okay. What are you wanting done, sir?
I just saw in the Press Citizen that there had not been a report filed, so I figured I would call.
Okay. What kind of report are you looking for? I guess are you injured in any way?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Was anybody injured in any way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Are you aware of who kicked the vehicle at the end of the report or the end of the video there?
What?
No, I did not witness any kicking.
Okay. And at the very end, you can hear it and see somebody kick, but we can't tell who it is. Kick the back quarter panel of the car.
Okay.
Not mad.
Do you want to come in and give us a written statement on what happened, or what would you like done, I guess?
Should I do that? Would that be beneficial?
It's totally up to you, but I'm letting you know that an incident like this, we got to look at it on each direction, okay? I see somebody jumping on top of a car. I see a person trying to look to be like somewhat in fear because they're getting surrounded by people. I see you stand in front of the car in the middle of a roadway, and I see somebody kick his car. So if we do investigate this thoroughly, we'll have to look on both ends of it. And there is laws against being in the middle of the roadway. There's laws against driving people over. But like I said, it could be all parties involved.
Oh, really?
Once we do the investigation, there could be charges on both sides.
Okay. Are you? Do you want to pursue this? I guess I don't know.
You're the one making the report. You're the one calling us. It's totally up to you what you want done on our end of it. Right now, I don't have a victim that's came in and get me a written statement. If you want to be considered a victim in this and you want to write a written statement and come in here, then I can start investigating the incident. If we don't have a victim, then we don't have anything that we're going to go off of at this point.
Okay. Are you with the Coralville Police Department?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose I could come in and give you a written statement then.
Okay. That's up to you, and like I said, we'll investigate on both ends of it, okay? I just want to make sure you're very clear on that.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Should I come in today, or is there a?
That's up to you. I am here until 7. That's Officer Fordyce, and I will be off the next 2, but I'll be back in on Friday.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Bye.
All right, thanks.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so I did not come in to file a written report, and I have not.
Yeah, like why would you? The way he brushed you off completely.
Yeah.
Like the rules about aren't there rules about like reckless driving? Like, isn't that like you could issue a traffic ticket based on a video, can't you? They do it all the time.
He made it pretty clear that if I continued to pursue this, they would in fact be going after the victims of the incident. And I'm not going to, subject other people to that. If it was only me, maybe I'd consider going further. But obviously, I don't want to put anybody else, in the crosshairs there.
Yeah.
And that was Officer Jason Fordyce of the Coralville Police Department. That's Fordice.
Jason Fordyce.
For anyone listening to this. After that, I was pretty... I wasn't sure exactly how I should proceed. I again talked to the other people involved, letting them know it seems like he's trying to intimidate me. I mean, given any opportunity, I'm sure they would come after us, but was he just saying that stuff to try to dissuade me from filing a report on something that they don't want to do any work on?
He wants to make you consider how much that car hurt when it got kicked.
Oh, right. Yeah, the kicking, had I witnessed anything, I of course would not have shared that information with the police. But I wasn't lying there. I did not see anybody kick that car.
It just seems that I've watched just enough of my daily allowance of Fox News, which is never, to know that when you hear it, when they claim they're being fair and balanced, obviously they're not. It just seemed coming from his end, he's talking about, when I hear shit both sides of the story, I'm all right, that sounds like some propaganda shit anyway. So you know what I mean? The way he was coming at it, it's honestly, man, if I got hit by that car and sustained, say I was out for weeks or whatever, I got hit head on, and I would still feel just as like I know my wife would do it for me, but like I would still feel just as uncertain about one to call the police. You know what I mean, for many reasons, right? You know what I mean? It just got me thinking how he was talking to you. It's like I said, if you're trying to return like a product or whatever that needs to be returned to the store, and they like put you through the ringer, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to return. I'm not going to end up returning this shit anyway. You know what I mean? It's like even though you have as much credence following that report, it's like seemed like you were just kind of getting that runaround. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that at the end of that call you're gonna feel good about what happened. You're gonna feel like he definitely, it was more of like a disadvantage to you, even though you had to do it. So it's just like he knew the end game was not going to be favorable for you. You know what I mean?
Right. And I'm sure Justin, you probably knew they don't like the protesters. They don't like the protests because it's about them. And like, it's just obvious. Same reason why like every time there's protests, they prove the point that they're making every time the cops use violence against them. It's like, you know the game. So it's obviously not worth pursuing, but it is just insanely how he just brushed you off so completely and so quickly.
Yeah. That was
so
painful, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I of course was not going into that thinking like, oh, the police will help me. Like I'm not that naive. But if they're going to tell reporters like no one's reported this incident, like okay, I guess I'll talk to you. Like I'm willing to make a phone call at least. At the very least, I can record a phone call and play it on a podcast,
Yeah. Might as well. Got to get that content.
Yeah. And I mean, had anybody been injured, I may have been more willing to go further with this. But yeah, that also, fortunately, no one was hurt also. And yeah, just like all of his, like Duroje was saying, he's coming from this position of like, well, we got to look at this from all sides. But after asking me like if I was injured, pretty much all of his questions were like, well, did you see all of the crimes that happened to the person that drove into you? Like they're a victim too.
Yeah.
They're the real victims. Yes.
Yeah. It just feels like, the tactics that they employ for voter suppression. You know what I mean? You have to, for instance, like if you're working a 9-to-5 job and they're open banker's hours, you have to like do these inhuman things, take off time for this, book this bus ticket, go through all this just to find that one place or whatever, basically setting up all these obstacles so that you have a slim to none chance of succeeding. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you knew right ahead that calling the police, obviously like that's feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a thing. You had to call them, but if you didn't, you're like, well, fuck, like, who's going to represent the protesters? Like, they're obviously going to spin this tale saying, yeah, like, well, people are not supposed to be on the road. You know what I mean? So like, I'm glad that you did what you did. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It just sucks that like you kind of had to be the martyr for anyone else that called because like they're gonna get that same bullshit runaround. Like
it's the trial by Franz Kafka. If you've ever read that book, if anyone is really into Kafka,
dude. Like for real though, like hearing that phone call, man, gave me straight up anxiety. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like you gotta know how that. I wasn't sure how that was gonna go. Like. Like, do they have like a taser that zaps you through your fucking phone? Like, you don't know what these people got. I mean, joking, of course, but
hey, someday I'm sure they'll figure out how to do that.
Yeah,
I'm sure the Corolla police know like who I am and where I live. So if they want to, I'm.
Oh, shit,
yeah, hopefully, I don't plan on being a real martyr.
No, well, and come on, the worst that will happen to you is a slap on your wrist that ultimately just ends with, like, you wasting some of your time that you had to waste anyway because of fucking COVID shit.
Right.
Like, they're not going to do shit to you. You're not going to, like, you'll get a misdemeanor at best, and then they'll, like, defer the judgment because you have a clean record, and it's nothing.
And again, if it was just me, like, I might be willing to risk that. But the fact that there were other people involved who they clearly have...
yeah. Well, I don't mean they would
after,
ever arrest you for this incident. Obviously, it's like just ridiculous to. I mean, I don't know though. I guess they've done like at Des Moines, especially. They're just tacking on like ridiculous fucking like spy charges because someone took a picture of a police briefing that a cop had on their persons.
Yeah.
Like they took a picture of a cop who had a fucking briefing hanging out of his pocket or whatever.
Yeah, DMPD has been just fucking crazy.
And it's a fucking felony. It's insane.
Christ.
And speaking of Des Moines, I actually have another story I wanted to discuss that's a little bit less personal. I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but somebody who was driving our governor, Kim Reynolds, also drove into someone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heard that damn. Yeah. Yeah. Did he hear? Well, you're probably going to cover it too, so I'll just shut up because this is going to be tasty.
Okay. So here's the first reporting on the incident. This is from the Des Moines Register. They published this on July 1st. So this happened just like right after this thing that happened with me. This is by Stephen Gruber Miller and Brianne Pfaffenstiel, an old friend of the show.
Oh,
of course.
yeah. I remember her. The greatest debate moderator of all time.
That's right. Yeah. That was the lady who I told I would not vote for Biden.
Very unbiased lady.
Like a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this is their reporting on what happened just over a week ago. A vehicle transporting Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds struck a Black Lives Matter protester Tuesday as the protester was intentionally blocking the car's path. A group of about 24 Des Moines Black Lives Matter activists showed up to Reynolds' public events in Steamboat Rock and Ackley, each about 90 miles from Des Moines, on Tuesday to urge her to immediately sign an executive order restoring voting rights to people with felony convictions who have completed their sentences. Reynolds has said she will sign the order, but not immediately.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been following the story knows that she's, dragging her feet.
Continuing to stall.
Yeah,
after she said she would do it.
A thing that she actually has the authority to just immediately overturn,
Right.
But she refuses. And this is it's such a simple thing, just restore felon voting rights. It's unambiguously good, but not for, the Republican Party. So she'll do all she can to delay that. The activists were not allowed into Reynolds' events, which were held on private property, so a group of them stood in the driveway of Family Traditions Meat in Ackley to block Reynolds from driving away. This is a very interesting name for your business. Family Traditions Meat. MEAT, meat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little sinister sounding.
I'm going to leave this guy's name out of it too, even though this guy's been a very public figure in the Des Moines Black Lives Matter protests. But just to be on the safe side, I will refrain from reading this person's name. They said they were standing in the driveway hoping that Reynolds would roll down the window of the vehicle and speak to them. And this is a quote from this person. The SUV that Governor Reynolds was driving in drove right up to me. I was standing right in front of the car, and I just stood there. I was like, I'm going to stand here. Surely the driver of the governor is not going to hit me with her car. This is the governor, my governor, who is supposed to be representing me. I'm sure that her car is not going to intentionally hit me. I was wrong. They said. They said they were not injured, but it was shocking when the vehicle hit them. They said that the impact spun them around and lifted them slightly onto the hood of the vehicle. So this seems like it was a bit faster than what I experienced. And it was an SUV, which is obviously more threatening. Reynolds spokesperson Pat Garrett declined to comment, but a spokesperson for the Iowa State Patrol confirmed the incident. Sergeant Alex Dinkla. I'm going to let that one hang for a second. Sergeant Alex Dinkla, a spokesperson for the Iowa State Patrol, said in a statement, "Today, the Iowa State Patrol investigated an incident that occurred near Ackley, Iowa, involving a demonstrator and a state-owned vehicle transporting Governor Reynolds. The vehicle was operated by a member of the Iowa State Patrol. As the vehicle started to leave a scheduled stop and enter the roadway, a demonstrator approached, which caused the governor's vehicle to slow. The demonstrator stopped short and to the side of the vehicle. As the vehicle began to turn away from the protester and onto the roadway, the demonstrator intentionally stepped in front of the slowly moving vehicle. The demonstrator had little to no physical reaction to any contact he created, and the vehicle then entered the roadway. Iowa State troopers on scene made contact with the demonstrator and advised him to discontinue his efforts to block traffic. The demonstrator did not appear to suffer any injury, made no request for medical attention, and immediately began shouting obscenities at the responding personnel. The demonstrator and his group then proceeded to block members of the Iowa State Patrol from leaving the area. Okay, I'm going to make some assumptions here, but I'm going to reinterpret that statement just a little bit. I'm going to assume that the Iowa State troopers who were on scene and made contact with the person who was just hit by an SUV and advised them to discontinue their efforts to block traffic. I'm going to guess it went a little bit something like this: "Get the fuck out of here." I mean, that's what I've experienced from the Iowa State Patrol in the past couple months. Anytime I'm anywhere they don't want me to be, they just immediately start swearing at me. So, I mean, this guy's statement is clearly trying to say, like, this protester was just immediately shouting obscenities at us. Like, I'm sure he was just returning what he had just received, you know? Goes on to say the vehicle drove away after it struck the protester. Afterward, they said an Iowa State Patrol officer walked up to him and began yelling at him and called him an idiot. Okay, so yes, confirming my suspicions. The protesters said that they believe the driver of the vehicle hit them intentionally. Well, they confirmed that it was an Iowa State Patrol officer, so I'm going to agree with the protester there. They said the driver stopped in front of them for a second and then accelerated. I 100% think they intentionally hit me. They said, there's no way that this driver could not see me right in front of their car. Two other activists confirmed Cavill's account of what happened. Okay, the guy that got hit, he was part of the group of Black Lives Matter activists who met with Reynolds twice in her office at the Iowa Capitol to discuss the executive order restoring voting rights to felons. Reynolds has said she will sign the order by late summer or early fall, but activists and every Democratic member of the Iowa legislature have urged her to sign the order by July 4th. It's currently July 10th. Do either of you know if she's signed that order?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't know.
And ends with a statement from the person who was hit. We just want answers. That's why we're following her around. We want her to know that we are not going to stay silent.
It's like before people would complain, oh, these protesters don't have specific demands. And now, like, when they're like trying to get a fucking response for the governor on like a specific issue and a specific set of issues, you know, the city, I guess they're addressing specific issues too, but like it's never ever portrayed in a way that, like, you know, it's always the protesters causing problems instead of like addressing the actual problems that exist in society that are causing them to protest.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a demonstration that's like chaotic or directionless, like that's the immediate criticism is like, oh, these are just a bunch of idiot kids who don't actually know what they want. They are just reveling in the chaos. But when it's like, this is specifically a group of people asking a specific person in power to just sign a specific document, like very directed, very specific requests here. Even then, they immediately twist the narrative to like, this is just like some asshole yelling at people. They don't know what they want. They don't understand the serious matters of governance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the guy who did get hit did give a very good interview, video interview on Des Moines Register, where he lines out all of this shit very well. So I don't know. You probably can use his name.
Yeah, I probably can. I'm just being like extra cautious.
Yeah.
We follow each other on Twitter now, so I'm a big fan of the person who got hit by a car. Did you see? This is just slightly diverging from the topic at hand, but you saw that video of Paul Parizek, right?
Yeah, getting his White Claw.
Yeah,
like obviously drunk.
Duroje, do you know who Paul Parizek is?
Paul, I do not know. Who is that?
Okay, Evan, you know a little bit more about this guy. We've talked about him a couple times on the show, but.
He's just the spokesman for the Des Moines police, and he has like a media presence. Like I think he's actually paid by WHO because he makes radio appearances on one of their radio programs, like on the sports radio show. Yeah, so he's like the face of the Des Moines Police Department, has this whole like good guy, cool cop image, and like takes questions from callers on the radio and shit. But in reality, like after all this Des Moines police shit where they're just going ham, and there's been all this stuff about like police officers who they paid out, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of lawsuits, you know, for misconduct and brutality. And he's just been lying to the media and spinning it and the protesters are like specifically calling for his firing. Yeah, he's just a piece of shit. And his son came out and called him a piece of shit, which I don't know if we need to go there necessarily.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe we could go further into that at some point in the future. But yeah, Iowa Informer article that came out, I believe, yesterday by friend of the show, Aaron Calvin. He was the one reporting on it. Yeah, Paul Parizek's son accuses him of some things. And
yeah, I also heard he has a racial discrimination thing on his record too.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising. I mean, he was a street officer before he was a fucking PR shill.
Hopefully consequences for this guy at some point. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I was saying was the same guy who got hit by the car in the story we just read, he uploaded a video of Paul Parizek at some like restaurant or something, and Parizek is like visibly drunk. If he saw anyone else, if he saw, for instance, the person who was filming him in that condition, he would immediately ticket them with public intox, you know? And I wish that the video had followed him out of the building to see if he actually got into a car, because he claims he was not driving. Anyway, it's a great video. Look it up, listeners. Paul Parizek, drunk in public. So I did want to get one more thing in regarding the Kim Reynolds situation. This came out... This is again from Stephen Gruber Miller of the Des Moines Register. He put this out on the 7th, just a couple days ago. The headline is, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds says her driver who struck Black Lives Matter protester, quote, acted appropriately.
Shocker. Oh, you know, one of the state troopers who were photographed on the same day, because they were following, she had a bunch of appearances that day, and they were basically just following her around all day. Mm-hmm. But there was some state troopers at the Capitol, and one of them was videotaped with a Trump wristband on.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. I mean, not that that's surprising, but...
It's not, but the fact that they can just openly wear
they're
that...
just fucking brazen about it.
Yeah, on duty. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's... I mean, the headline is really enough here, but let's read some context, I guess. Governor Kim Reynolds said a state trooper who was driving her from an event last week, quote, acted appropriately when he hit a Black Lives Matter protester who was blocking the driveway of the business she was leaving. I do feel like the driver acted appropriately, Reynolds said Tuesday at a news conference in Urbandale. She said she believes the protester, an organizer with Des Moines Black Lives Matter, acted inappropriately by stepping in front of her SUV as it was leaving the parking lot. The protester was not injured by the collision. And here's how she describes what happened. As we were leaving the vicinity, the individual sped up and stepped in front of the vehicle intentionally, and you cannot block traffic as we're leaving an event. They got a statement from the protester. He said, it's not like I went out of my way to jump in front of the vehicle in the way that she explains it, or the State Patrol explains it. I was already standing where the vehicle was driving to. So again, there's video of this too. And as they describe it here, video of the incident shows taking a couple of steps into the driveway and then coming to a halt before the SUV hits him. I mean, this is just words, but I mean, if you watch it, you, I'm sure, would agree with the protester that he was driven into intentionally and there was plenty of time to not do that.
Yeah, are they going to act like, is she going to say, oh, I was threatened by him? Like, do you think that her driver or her thought that they were in any immediate danger whatsoever in this situation?
They get a little bit more from Sergeant Alex Dinkla of the Iowa State Patrol here. The trooper was operating the vehicle in a safe and prudent manner and in accordance with dignitary protection training. The trooper driving the vehicle will not be disciplined as he did not violate departmental policies or procedures. The protester said that the incident shows that Reynolds is being held to a different standard. He also called it a distraction from the work he and other activists are doing to pressure Reynolds to sign an executive order to restore voting rights for people with felony convictions. Folks in the state of Iowa should really be concerned about the sheer lack of accountability that we're seeing and the exceptionalism that we're giving to Governor Reynolds, he said. But if it was me or anyone else who was driving a car or riding in a car that struck another person, that car can't just drive away and everything will be fine. Yeah, I would agree. Refer back to our previous episode when somebody was driving towards a cop who was standing in the road and was shot, 17 times?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Obviously not a one-to-one comparison, but not really a comparable, level of consequences there.
Do you think Joni Ernst is definitely vulnerable, but Kim Reynolds seems like at this point, I want to hope at least, like after the COVID shit and this, like
you're talking about like electorally, right, man?
Yeah.
Joni, I mean,
guess the people I talk to are all, obviously hate her, but
right. Well, like, okay, so I guess going to Joni Ernst first, because I know her. I mean, like, she's up for reelect. Like, have you guys seen some of the ads for Teresa Greenfield?
I've been digging into a little bit of campaign ads for another episode I'm planning to do soon.
Okay. Shit, sorry.
No, I totally changed subject, but
no, you're totally fine.
No, I didn't want to like ruin stuff for another episode. But like, yeah, I just see like I don't know because I saw some of like the attack ads and shit like that. I'm like, I'm not sure what to because like my person did not make it through. Who was like she was like supposedly she was progressive until I'm just not sure what to make of this whole thing with Teresa Greenfield, honestly, going up against Joni. You know,
I only see negative Teresa Green like attack ads on Teresa Greenfield. I mean, I'm sure it'll be close, and I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen polling recently, but I wouldn't be surprised if Joni Ernst still holds on.
Yeah, I think at this point it could go either way. There's a lot of money going into this race specifically because it could go either way. And Greenfield obviously had the full backing of the party, like even in the primary. So she's got plenty of institutional support.
Yeah.
I don't know about like people momentum, but money momentum, sure.
Yeah, definitely. Not people momentum is very yeah, it's definitely not. But like, I think to answer your question though, with good old with Kim Reynolds, if people remember, the shit like. People remember the shit that, she put us through this year. I like to think that her time's up in a couple of years, but it just matters what, the left decides to put up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they put up bullshit moderate or whatever, like.
Yeah, if we do Fred Hubble again.
Right. Yeah. It's way too far out to project for her, but I don't know. It just feels like the tide has shifted way heavily against her. And she's just totally. She just looks like a deer in the headlights whenever she does one of her pressers.
She's fucking up.
She's just obviously a Trump lapdog, like to the fullest, and making us a mockery.
It's really bad, man. Like aren't we the first state in the nation that had like that allowed pick up drinks to go? But
and she has 2 DUIs.
Right, like exactly. Like it doesn't look good too that your driver hit a fucking BLM person. You're like, oh yeah, by the way, pick up your margarita from your favorite Mexican joint. You know what I mean? Like, and like, oh, by the way, weed is still bad. So like, that's the way she thinks.
Yeah, she just said that recently too. Like, it's like about the weed. It's like, give me a fucking break, man.
Seriously, dude. Like,
was the drive-through alcohol legalization, was that also an executive order? I can't remember.
I am not sure, honestly.
Anyway, but I mean, that takes, a higher priority than restoring voting rights, obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah, or protecting people from COVID, or providing accurate numbers on fucking COVID, or accurate tests.
But there's plenty of time before the next gubernatorial election. The next one is 2022. So, yeah, I mean, one, how good are people's memories going to be? Two, how bad are the next 2 years going to be?
Right.
A lot of factors that we can't really predict.
The thing though with Kim Reynolds is like, like the whole restoring voting rights to felons and shit. Like she'll do stuff there like, like I don't want to hate you, but you suck. You know what I mean? And she'll pull this shit, with like hitting somebody. And then I'm reading something here on Facebook saying that she supposedly is allocating $50 million to Iowa's mental health system. So like, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, broken clock can be right a couple times. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
Like Republicans, they have to do the same thing as the Democrats do. They just are like less willing to talk about it,
Exactly.
Yeah, and I've been looking deeper into state house candidates since I was, the thing I mentioned earlier about looking at campaign ads. And like mental health is one of the things that it seems like the Iowa Republican Party has kind of latched onto as like their, see, we're actually good. kind of policy proposal.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hey, if we can
you can't fault
somewhere,
them. Yeah, if you can pull them on the couple positions where they're like shown that they might be slightly willing to budge upon, like, you'll take it. But
like you said, like, the clock could be right twice a year. I mean, at least give them some sort of credit. You know what I mean? But, you still need to fix your fucking clock. Like,
right.
I feel like she's doing the least, just to placate the base, and be like, yeah, like you said, like, we're not all that bad, look how progressive we are after all, but it's really sad that those are the things that we have to like look forward to, when there's like small bits of common decency that they show. I'm like,
yeah,
all right. So we're supposed to be happy with this?
Yeah, it's like when Trump gives a State of the Union address and like has all this shit about like the military and like tells some sob story, about some military spouse, and they just lap it up. Like the conservative base, they hear exactly what they want to hear. They want to hear all the good stuff, but once it gets to anything that's like threatens their little bubble, they get real mad.
Yeah, real big mad. Yeah, man. The other big race that comes to mind is Amy McGrath and the Turtle. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, if the Turtle's gone, like, that'll be great, personally. But it's like, does it have to be Amy? I mean, I was hoping, like, the progressive dude was going to fucking...
Oh, yeah, Booker. Yeah, I was praying for that. Yeah. But... and it was so close. Like, he came out of nowhere.
He almost
like,
pulled it
really
off,
was obviously, like, the person for the moment.
Yeah.
But it's Kentucky, and I guess, I don't know. McConnell seems like he... I don't know. I can't see Amy McGrath beating him.
Polling would indicate that he's safe. Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere this time. But yeah, Amy, I mean, would be kind of a lateral move from what I've seen of her.
She's the embodiment of like a corporate Democrat. Like they liked her story. She's a female fighter pilot. We can put her in this seat. We can use her to attack Mitch McConnell. Like. And get all these out-of-state liberals, like rich California people, to send money to her campaign, and we can make a lot of money off of it. She'll probably lose anyway, but if she does win, then she is like a safe person that we can, use. She'll be a establishment favorite for sure.
Yeah, they can put her in somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like Kentucky's just like red meat red, dude. It's like I have no hope for that. You know what I mean? But you never know.
Well, I mean, they've got a strong like labor background with the coal mining and stuff. But that was kind of co-opted. It was kind of co-opted in like in the Obama years into being like an environmental thing. Like they turned coal is where the Kentuckians make their living, and these damn libs they want to stop all the coal mining because of global warming, which is fake. You should vote for Republicans.
I have to apologize for not listening to the Trillbillies enough.
Yeah, that's basically where I learned about Kentucky. So
yeah.
It looks like we've been going for like a little bit more than an hour. Do you guys? I have something that I could keep going with if you guys want to stick around for a little bit. What do you think?
My sister is coming over like very shortly, so
okay, so we can end it then. All right,
if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah,
that's fine. What that means, of course, that Joel Curtinitis has escaped justice. Once again.
Hell yes. Okay, then yes, definitely. I don't want to talk about Joel Curtinitis. He doesn't deserve our podcast with very limited listenership. He doesn't deserve the attention that we would give him.
I was trying not to tell you exactly what it was before your yes or no. Yeah, so again, like this article, I want to talk about it on the show, but it's escaping our commentary once again.
I mean, Joel seems like he's not doing too well right now. He seems like he's under constant threat, very paranoid. So like he has enough to worry about, I think. We don't need to give him any more headaches.
Duroje, I don't know if you're familiar with Joel Curtinitis.
Who is that like a local guy or?
Yeah, he used to write for the Des Moines Register and is best known for his "Why Can't I Say the N-Word" article. Like literally, not even like I'm not even really exaggerating it like at all.
What?
Yeah,
oh
we can link it after this, but he's the worst.
Is he like a big fan of Carson King too?
I don't know how involved he got himself in the Carson King debacle, but I'm sure that.
Oh, he was mad about it for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He doesn't write for the paper anymore. I think we kind of led a campaign against him. I don't know if that had any role in it.
Oh, good. Wow.
He doesn't write anymore and has very limited viewership anyway, or like no one reads his shit. So
I need something to be pissed off about. If one of y'all could send me that last name, that'll be great. Because that's some wild shit right there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Yeah, he was like an early target of ours when we were first starting the show, so he's kind of a classic villain. Anyway, though, Duroje, thank you for coming back again on a more standard Rock Hard Caucus episode.
Oh yeah, man, this is fun. Like I love talking this shit with you guys. You know, it's it kind of like last month. It just it feels kind of like a cathartic experience. It's unconventional in a good way. Because you're talking about stuff, you know, that like, you know, when you haven't seen people in a while, it's like, oh, how are your kids? You know, how's blah, blah, blah. You know, you're talking about real shit that matters to people. And you can't help but be earnest about it. You can't help but to like, you know, to really share what's on your mind, you know, because hopefully people are listening, you know, like,
yeah,
we can like lead shit. We can change shit, you know, like, you know, with what you experienced, Justin, you know, with the ass hat, you know, coming close to hitting you or whatever. It's like, like people need to know about that shit, man. Like I think, you know, more needs to be said. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back again. Like I just said, I mean, this may only be a podcast, but you know, podcasts have a role.
we toe the irony sincerity line pretty hard, but I think we're all pretty deeply sincere people. And
I think you know who we are. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, and I you know, can't help but feel that kind of camaraderie. You know, like it's not like you're watching. It's not like you're listening to the Bob and Tom show where they're always fucking around. You know what I mean? You know, but it's like it's a nice balance. So I actually look forward to that. You guys keep up the good work. Seriously,
thanks, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I do think that, I mean, there are some things that we could learn from Bob and Tom, perhaps, but
I haven't listened to that in so long.
Yeah.
When I worked in a book bindery, and that's what the guys would listen to.
Kind of bottom of the barrel morning zoo stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to hear some bottom of the barrel shit, like you should listen to some. I don't think they're in the area anymore, but Free Beer and Hot Wings. They sound like the kind of people that you went to high school with that, you know, like definitely played golf. You know what I mean? Like you know, they're those type of people that wear polos and shit like that. And they go to a sports bar, you know, meet up with their friends and joke about us. So it's basically like, it's like if Fox News had their version of Bob and Tom. You know what I mean? That's basically what that was. So that's the thing that exists.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of what I'm aspiring to be. Yeah,
I'm imagining just like Steven Crowder types.
Oh yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone who listens to this show. You know, we appreciate what limited audience we have as a show in Iowa expressing earnest leftist political views. You know, there's a limited audience, but there is an audience. So thank you for being that audience. And if you want more of our stuff, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. There's plenty of additional audio material there for you to consume. I did an 11-part series reading a shitty book by a local weirdo. And I just today released the first episode of what I'm hoping to be a very long-running series with friend of the show, Tony Licurdo from Massachusetts, where we read and discuss the Archie Comics series Sonic the Hedgehog. So quite a diversion.
Totally divergent from the actual content of the pod. But hey.
Yeah, you know. I mean, take the perspectives you see here and apply it to kind of a niche product elsewhere.
Gotta get it out of your system.
Yeah. And if you want stickers, I've said this a few times, but reach out to us anywhere. Twitter, Facebook, the Patreon, etc. I'd be happy to send you some stickers.
I might actually take you up on that, Justin.
Yeah, I'll send you some stickers for sure.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, dude. With the logo designed by our close friend Allie High. I always want to give her credit when I can. All right. Well, any other thoughts from... Oh, Duroje's gone. All right.
Peace. I'll take some stickers, too. I forgot to ask.
Yeah, I'll send you some as well. Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody. See you later. Goodbye.
Peace.
There are two videos that you need to see that Joe has posted at freebeerandhotwings.com. One of them cannot be real. It is Bruce Lee allegedly playing ping pong with a nunchuck. Joe, you found this video. Do you believe it's real?
No, it's not. It's a commercial.
Well, there you have it.
This is the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show.
I thought this was something we're going to park on and say that this is some new unearthed material or something.
You're simple and soft-headed.
You're a soft-headed
I'm simple and soft-headed. The video's an effing commercial, you idiot. Yeah, it's only all over the effing internet that says awesome Chinese commercial of Bruce Lee playing ping pong with nunchucks.
Now, the headline on the video you sent us just says Bruce Lee plays ping pong with nunchucks.
Oh, my God. How did I ever figure out it was a commercial when the headline doesn't say that?
It's time for the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show.
Listen, Melonhead.
It would have been. Yeah, what do you want, stupid? You don't even know anything about the internet. You didn't even know you could order books off Amazon, so shut up.